Please, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I beg you, just give me one more chance.
Didn't you tell me earlier to just shut up and keep scrubbing this floor?
The boardroom had never known a silence like this. It wasn't the industrial hum of the furnace or the whistle of the Lake Michigan wind. It was the heavy, suffocating quiet that descends when men in expensive chairs realize the ground has vanished beneath them. Bobby stood at the head of the table. In front of him sat his lunch pail, a dented piece of history he'd carried since 1968, the year the first beams were raised, and the car only came one way black. Preston Vale tried to break the tension with a scoff. "Security, get this old man out of here, now." But no one moved. Miranda Holt, the board secretary, adjusted her glasses. Her fingers trembled as she lifted a...
Make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Thank you for being here, and God bless you.
yellowed certificate from Frank Delaney's old cigar box. She read the seal first, then the date, then the words that had been sleeping in that paper for over 50 years. Class A founder shares, permanent voting rights, pension protection authority, registered owner. Preston's smirk died. Miranda swallowed hard. Robert Kincaid. Through the glass wall in the hallway, the night crew stood watching. Men and women in gray coveralls holding their knit caps. The fatigue of 1,000 midnight shifts was etched into their faces, now replaced by a flickering light of hope. Bobby didn't look at Preston. He looked at his people. "My wife typed that clause," Bobby said softly. "She believed a pension wasn't a gift, it was a promise." Preston lunged forward. "That document is a relic. It's ancient history." Frank Delaney smiled from the shadows. "So is the Constitution, son. Still works just fine if you know how to read it." A few workers wiped their eyes. Then Miranda turned to the page. What she found there made Preston's hands seize the table until his knuckles turned white. Preston didn't speak for 5 full seconds. In that time, everyone in the room saw the truth. Miranda laid a second document on the table. This one wasn't old. It was crisp, white, and bore the company's modern letterhead, the Gary Plant Land Sale Agreement. The name of the buyer meant nothing to the workers, but the numbers meant everything. $80 million for the land, and exactly $0 allocated to the worker pension fund. Bobby placed a stained, calloused hand on the paper. "I swept your office, Preston," he said. "You fired me for stealing old union photos. But you're the one who left this sitting in the copier tray." Preston snapped. "That is privileged corporate material." Frank Delaney tapped his cigar box. "So was my cigar collection But your lawyers didn't mind laughing at that. No one laughed now. The air was lead heavy. Bobby read the pension clause his wife had written in the plain, honest language of someone who grew up counting pennies. Kitchen, table, no sale, no merger, no board action shall diminish, delay, or end worker pensions without the explicit approval of the Class A founder. Bobby read it like a hammer striking steel. Outside, the murmurs began. "That's my father in that photo," someone whispered. "My mother packed lunches for this line for 30 years, said another. Preston stood up, his chair screeching against the floor. "You don't understand modern business." Bobby finally looked him in the eye. "I understand a handshake. I understand a lunch whistle. And I understand a man who works 40 years because someone promised him he could rest when his knees finally gave out." Bobby turned to the board. "I vote no." The sale was dead. But Bobby wasn't finished. Bobby's voice remained soft. That made it even more terrifying for Preston. "I also move to remove Preston Vale as plant manager," Bobby said, "for concealment of records, attempted pension fraud, and the harassment of company employees." Preston's face flushed a deep, angry red. "You can't do this." Miranda looked at the voting ledger, then at the board members, then at Bobby. "With the Class A shares restored," she said, "Miss Kincaid has the authority to call the vote." One by one, hands went up. Not quickly and not with pride, but they went up. Preston looked around for a single ally. He found none. For the first time since Bobby had entered the plant with a mop bucket, Preston looked small. Security did arrive then, but they didn't come for Bobby. Preston buttoned his wool coat with shaking fingers and walked past the glass wall. The night crew didn't jeer. They didn't clap. They simply watched in total silence, treating him with the same invisibility he had forced on them for years. Bobby picked up his lunch pail and walked downstairs. The hallway smelled of wet concrete, machine oil, and burnt coffee. He stopped in front of the company wall of honor, a wall filled with presidents and donors who had never spent a single night on a dock. Miranda caught up to him, pen in hand. "What should we change first, Bobby?" Bobby touched the empty space at the bottom of the mahogany plaques. "Add the janitors," he said. "Every single one. The women who scrubbed these floors, the men who cleared the ash, the ones who opened the gates before the sun came up." His eyes shimmered, but he didn't let a tear fall. "My name can wait. Theirs can't." That was when the oldest worker in the hall stepped forward and handed Bobby a photograph. A face Bobby hadn't seen in 50 years. By morning, The wall had changed. It wasn't just Bobby's name up there. It was all of them. The sweepers, the oilers, the night shift cleaners who kept the plant alive while the world slept. Bobby Kincaid walked out into the snowy, gary wind, clutching the same lunch pail he'd carried since 1968. He didn't ask for money. He asked for memory. Because a factory isn't built by titles. It's built by hands. If this story moved you, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Part 1 of our new series drops Friday, beginning with an old photograph, a locked church basement, and a daughter who discovers her father was never the man the town thought he was.